Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's lesson. We are going to be getting into actual level design now, inside of an actual engine. This week, we're going to be doing some 2D level design stuff. And we're going to be doing that inside of Unity. I'll be showing you a little bit of how Unity works, how the editor works, and how to use sprites and uh, sprite mapping to tile mapping to create a 2D level. And also, real fast, before we get started with that, I'll show you how to make sure you've um, installed Unity. First thing you're going to want to do is go straight to the unity.com website, go to their products, and go to Unity Engine. From here, you'll click the download Unity button, and that will open up your the Unity download page. You'll want to make sure that you've logged in, that you've created an account. This account um, will give you access to everything from the Unity Hub. It does not have an actual licensing fee until, like, you don't have to pay for anything until you're like publishing. So for now, for us, we don't have to worry um, about publishing or about licensing anything, so we can mess around with it for free. Um, you'll click this download button for Windows here. If you have Mac or Linux, click on those links to get to those. And once this is all downloaded, you'll get the Unity Hub, which when you open it up will look like this, except for you will not have the Unity 6 installed. So from here, you'll need to go and install Unity, the editor itself, by clicking the install editor button, and then choose which version you want to use. I'm using the most recent Unity 6, so that's the one that we will have installed. And then it'll take a little time. It'll install everything. And then once it's ready to go, you'll see it here in your installs tab. And then if you go to projects, you'll be able to add a new project. When you click on add new project, you'll have a bunch of different options here. I'm just going to show you one real fast that everybody can get started with if you're interested. Under the learning tab, you have the 2D platformer micro game. When you open this up for the first time, it'll give you all of the sample assets and things you need. It'll even have a map laid out for you to create your own 2D platformer, and it will run through some of the basic tutorial things in Unity for how to use the different tools, um, how to use the editor window, what some hotkeys are, and things like that. All the way from how to use those things to how to build out your game. So I recommend everybody take a look at that. We're not going to do that today because thing I didn't realize is I guess I did that already a while ago, and now I can't open up a new learning game and do that again, I guess. So we're not gonna deal with that. So you can go into if you go into the sample tab, we have a bunch of templates here that you can use for 3D, VR, and everything like that. If you go to the core tab, here's where we're going to get started. So all of these different options you have will give you kind of the core packages for the type of game you're making. So what we want to do is we want to start with Universal 2D because that's what we're starting with. And then when you click Create Project, it'll run through the whole creation and compilation stuff. It's got to compile a bunch of packages and things like that. So it's going to take a little while. So once this is done, I'm going to pause video, and once this is done, we'll jump into the actual editor. Okay, and here is what you should see when you open up a blank 2D project. So there's a couple of things going on here. I'll explain everything in the window that you see and kind of how to get around the program itself. So right here on the left-hand side, we have this tab. It's called Hierarchy. This is very similar to if you've used an Adobe product, if you've used Photoshop, or Illustrator, or things like that. This is a hierarchy of layers. So just like those things, you have kind of from top down, your layers will appear uh, inside of your scene, which is in the center here. Um, in fact, I believe it's actually in reverse order. So basically, the way that Unity works is it will render things from top down. So if you have, say, a background image here as a layer or as a object in your scene, it will be, and it's the first thing to render. It'll be in the background, and then if you have an image in front of that, it'll render that in front of that, so on and so forth. Dependent, of course, on the Z order of the objects, which I'll get into in a second. But basically, from top down, it will render from back to front. Um, Here in the center, we have our scene. There's a couple different tabs up here, but this is where we'll be putting things into our map. You can, in 2D mode, there or 2D development, there's a lot less that you really need to worry about control wise. If you have your view tool selected here and you left click and drag, you can drag around your scene. If you, I think it's alt right click, yeah, alt right click, hold alt and drag in and out, you will be able to zoom in and out from your scene. You can also use your scroll wheel, which is what I'm doing now. In addition, you have these tools: the move tool, rotate tool, scale tool. These are used on objects in the scene. So if you have a sprite and you want to make it bigger, if you click on it to activate it or to select it, you can then use these tools to rotate the object, to move the object, or to scale the object up and down. This might be better. I wonder if there is a sample scene. Let's see if this will illustrate my point a little bit better. While that's loading, because I think it's loading. Oh, this is the sample scene. Okay, so they don't have anything. Maybe we have a. Doesn't look like it. Do we have a model in here I can drop in? No. All right, well, we'll get to that in a second, and I will show a bit of how that works when we get there. But yeah, so the scene window. So this is where all the objects and things that you'll be putting into your levels will go. We're not going to get so much into the actual scripting and coding of games in this class. So you only really need to worry about the things that are on your in your scene editor, which is funnily enough, or coincidentally everything right here. So your scene tab is here, and next to that is the game tab. So this allows you to play your game and see what your game looks like while it's playing. Here is your you can either play the game or choose to simulate your game here. Show which display you're using if you're using multiple displays, scaling up your game, scaling the resolution of the monitor display that you're using, and then you use your play pause options here to play the game. Probably won't need to do much of that unless you decide to go a little bit above and beyond and put playable characters into your game or into your maps. And then there's the asset store, which used to be a tab that you'd be able to access here, but now is done kind of in a separate thing. So don't worry about that tab too much. Next up over here on the right is the inspector. So if I were to select an object in my hierarchy, say the main camera, this gives me all of the options to edit the main camera, all the different features and everything that are going on with it. So we have our transform tools, which will allow us to change our X, Y, and Z position of our the object that we've selected. This is a camera, so it has a bunch of camera options, rendering options, things like that. And with one of these selected, you can add components using this button. When you click on that, you can choose from a drop down of a bunch of stuff in your game to attach to that object. This is more what we're going to be using, because a lot of the transform tools and a lot of the options that have to do with um, creating your assets will be in this tab here. So get comfortable using this. Um, you can, if you want to, completely move it anywhere you want around on your screen. If you drag it out, you can drag it out. I'm actually going to, I would like to put it back in, there it is. Right there on the right. And then down here, we have our files for our project. So by base, this file explorer with an empty project, this file explorer will have a bunch of different packages and assets. Things are very limited as to what they are, and you have to add things as you create them into these folders. So packages, anything that you're looking for in your games files, you can find in here. Packages are things that Unity adds to um, the actual engine, so things that are like your plugins and renderers and things like that. Not too much that we have to worry about here. So I wouldn't really mess with much there unless whatever you're using is some, like, if you add anything to your engine to get things to get a certain look or whatever for your scenes. You might need to go into packages to look for that. Your assets is everything that you have that can be added to your game. This includes your objects, background images, sprites, props, any kind of coding, any animations, materials, things like that. All go here. And that's going to be mostly what we're going to look through. But this is uh, uh, Explorer for your entire project, all the files in it. And then the console tab, you won't have to worry too much about this, because the console is going to teach you or show you when things are or not working properly. And if you've ever seen console uh, things in like command line and stuff like that, um, this is where it will display all of those outputs. So right now, the things that we should mostly worry about are our hierarchy, our scene tab, our inspector, and our project folders. I'm going to restart the video recording, because I didn't realize this was going to take 15 minutes, and we're going to get stuff into the project, and I'll show you how things work. Be right back. Okay, and we're back. Let's get started by putting some assets into the game, or into our project, and um, start to create a game, or at least a level. So first thing we're going to do is actually we're going to go into Unity's webs. Sorry, my phone went off. Go back to Unity's website, and this little button here will take you to the asset store. So there we go. Unity and Unreal, and I guess to a lesser extent to other game engines as well, have asset stores that allow you to buy or sell different 3D models, 2D models, sprite sheets, different systems and stuff, all directly into from them into your engine. These marketplaces are very good if you're trying to find things. As an indie developer, we use them quite a bit, especially for different code stacks that we can't, like code systems that we can't put together ourselves, for different, say, AI systems, or um, I guess animation templates and things like that. This right here, behavior designers for AI, um, stuff like that, and also in 3D models that we're looking for to fill out spaces, especially non-hero assets. Hero assets being the important ones in a scene. We will try our best as an indie studio. It can get quite expensive to do 3D modeling, but we do as much of our important 3D models ourselves. And if we're filling out background assets or props, or you know, cars, things like that that aren't as important to the main scene. Those may come from different assets or asset packs from the marketplaces. What we're going to do here is we are actually just going to go search for, it's in my recent searches, search for Crystal World. So this is the Crystal World platformer right here, which is a free asset pack. If you click into it, you will see it's just a bunch of different little uh, sprite packs and tile sets and things for you to build some 3D maps with. It also has the additional stuff for anything that you would need, main characters and a couple of different enemy types and stuff to put together a small 2D platformer. And this is what we're going to start with. So when you get to this point, you're going to want to make sure that you click on the, I already own it, but you have to click on the add to library button, and then you can click on open in Unity. When you click on this and agree to open it in the Unity editor, you'll get a package manager. So this will tell you that these are the packages that you have in your assets from the marketplace, and you can import them directly into your project. So we want to make sure we've got our Crystal World platformer clicked on, and then if you click on this button here, import 1.02 project, then it will run a importer or a whole downloader and importer tool here, show you that it's installing all of this stuff. And when you click on import, it'll add everything to your project. Now, give me 1 second. Okay, so once that's all installed, we can close our package manager. And then you'll see here under your assets folder, you'll have a folder called Crystal World. If you click on your assets folder here, you can see it here as well. If you double click into the asset or into the Crystal World folder, you'll have all these different little things going on. So we have a bunch of different background assets. These are textures that will be used for the background image of our scene. And then we have some other 2D assets here as well that can be used kind of in like a mid-ground. And then we have some sprite packs or some sprite sheets here that I wonder if I can just open it up and show you. There you go. So these are a bunch of different sprites that can be used to build out your environment. And then you also have a bunch of other things here as well as your different character sprites. All of that stuff's in here, all the different animations and stuff for your sprites. But we're going to focus on these objects here in the root folder of pack. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by going into our hierarchy. What we need to do is we need to create an object that all of our background can fit into. So we're going to right click in our hierarchy and go to create empty. And we're going to call this background. So here in the background, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set its position to 0 for X, Y, and Z to show you kind of a bit of how that works. You can do it manually using these arrow handles. This gizmo allows you to do basically your move, rotate, and scale. So if I was moving, I'd have the arrows. If I wanted to rotate, I click on that, and now I have this circle that I can drag around to rotate it. And then scale. If we scale it, we can grab on one of these tools to scale on the Y or the X. And then also if you grab the center tool, you can scale both at the same time. For shortcuts, you can use Q. Let me just make sure that I'm not. Yeah, sorry. It's W, E, and R in Unity. Sorry, I was getting confused. So W will give you your move tool. E will give you your rotation tool, and R will give you your scale tool. Those are just some shortcuts if you don't want to click on all these buttons all the time. But in addition to that, we can change those things inside of our transform window here in our inspector. So if I just change my X to 0, Y to 0, and Z to 0, now it is exactly in the center of our scene. Oops. Right there in the middle of our scene. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is we are going to want to right click on our background, and we are going to add another empty. This one is going to be called layer one. So the way that this works is, like I said before, if your objects, if this is like a Photoshop document, your objects were on separate layers. The top layer will be the one that's furthest back, and then the bottom layer will be the one that's furthest forward. So we're going to be using these three background images here to create our background. So we're going to need to make three different layers. We're going to start with this one, and the first thing that we're going to want to do here is actually let's take all three of our background images. If you click on one, hold shift and click on the third one, it'll highlight all of them. And we're going to need to change some of their sprite stuff. So this pack itself is 16-bit, which is 16 pixels, a 16 pixel square. So we want to make sure that under our information here, we have this right. So sprite mode, pixels per unit is going to change to 16. And then also we are going to go down to filter mode and change from bilinear to point. So this is going to make sure that there's no warping that goes on when we scale our sprites if we want to. So that is necessary to make sure that everything is looking right when we scale it. So then we'll click apply. And now we have that information correct. And if we click back on any of the objects, you can see that it's been changed. So this layer is going to be our background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that image here, it's this one, and we're going to drag it right on top of our layer one and let go. And now we have a background image. This red line means that we're selecting it. So if we unselect, we click anywhere else on our screen, we click on it again, that is the object that we're selecting, and we can change all the stuff inside here. If I want to make this level bigger, I can go here and duplicate the background image, and now we have a second one. And if we use our move tool, we can just drag it out and put it right here at the end. And we have two images. So these are 30 units wide. So if I just change this to flat 30 units on the position here, now they are lined up and continuing. And you can keep doing that, forever, as long and as tall as you want your images or your level to be. So now that we have that, we are going to make another layer of these. If we right click on layer one and then we click duplicate, now we have a second one, and it even has our background images in it. So from here, what we're going to want to do, because we don't want these, if you click on these guys and we drag them around, it's the same image, right? What we want to do is we want to change this one to this image. So the way we're going to do this is click on our background layer that we want, and then drag this component right here to the sprite option. And now it changes to the right image. Oops. And we'll do it for the second sprite. And there you go. Now we have this like cavey looking stalagmite thing in front of the background. And we're going to do this one more time. So we're going to duplicate it again. You can press Control D to duplicate if that is easier for you. And then we're going to go to background 01 here, and we're going to make it the third image. All right. So what we've done here is this is called parallaxing. So one of the ways that you get a lot of depth in 2D space is through what's called parallaxing, where you have certain layers on top of each other. If you looked at it flat, they would just be on top of each other. But given perspective and given the way that the world itself is like the image itself, the scene itself is built around the image, it gives this illusion of depth. So that's what we've done here. If we wanted to, we could add layers in between these layers and put things going on in the background between the layers to give more depth. Like if we wanted to add, say, behind this spiky thing, if we wanted to have like a dinosaur walking in the behind that, but in front of this the stalagmites, you could do that, and it would give the illusion that there's space between these two objects, even though there isn't. I'm going to have to restart the recording again. So the next up, we're going to talk about Z order, and also get some more objects into our scene. So be right back. All right. So next up, now that we have our background stuff set up here, we're going to talk about Z order. So in its the easiest explanation is that like I said, how your hierarchy kind of determines how your images or how your layers are rendered in a scene. Your Z order determines whether or not things are in front or behind each other after they are rendered. So, for instance, this layer here, layer 1, is at Z order 0. So if I were to make this Z order, say, -2, now it goes to the front because it is in front of, or below, I should say, everything else in the scene. If I were to, say, make it 10 and then make this layer here 12, well, now that layer is behind the first layer because it has a higher Z order. So to keep things in the frontmost frontmost line of view in your scene, you want to have your Z order be lower than the other layers that are also in the scene. So for level design, so say I wanted to, and I'm going to do this as kind of a large number. This is our furthest back image in our background. So I'm going to set its Z value to 20. And then the next layer, this one, I'm going to set this one to 15. And then the third layer, I'm going to set this one to 10. This gives us some room. So if I wanted to, so for instance, if I duplicate this layer, right, and then set this one's background to 12, 16, say. And then if we take this one, let's just hide this real fast. And then we grab this, and let's just drag this. Oh, what happened to my? Oh, that's way too big. I thought I had set it to 12 or to 16. I set it to 1216. So you see it here, and you see this background here. If I were to drag all this down, you can see that now this image is between these two layers. So basically, it's the Z order will stack itself in that, depending on the Z value that you give it. So let me just undo all of this. And we will unhide that. And there we go. So once again, our furthest background layer is at 20. Our layer in front of that is 12. And our layer in front of that layer in front of that should be 15. And our layer in front of that should be 10. Now, this just gives us some wiggle room. So if we wanted to put things between those layers, basically you'd have between 20 and 15 to fit between the back two layers, and then between 15 and 10 to fit between the previous two layers. And now we have 10 layers in front of our frontmost background to work with, which will be really good when you start stacking things to get a more depth in your design. So now that we have our background, we can go ahead and hit this little arrow to minimize all that stuff, so we don't have to worry about that. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a sprite map. So if you right click into your hierarchy, go to 2D object, or tile map rather, sorry. Go to tile map and hit rectangular. So this tile map, so you'll see it created a grid and it created a tile map. The grid is a container for a tile map, and it will give you access to a lot more pinpoint accuracy when moving things around in your tile map. So the tile map itself has a couple of things here that we're going to want to look at. So the first one is, of course, our transform. And then, so what this is, we don't have to worry about this because basically the tile map is going to cover the entire scene. Um, and so we don't really have to worry about its position. The only one thing we're going to have to worry about is under the grid is the Z position of everything, or Z order. So I want to set it at 0. So basically, it's going to cover everything everything else is going to be behind it. And then from the tile map, we have a couple of things going on. We have the tile map renderer, which I don't think I care too much about this stuff right now. No, we don't need to worry about this right now. But this will tell you kind of how things are rendered on the tile map. So as it's set right now, it's sort order at bottom left. Basically, it goes from bottom left to top right, in the order at which it renders things. And then different masking and materials and things that we have, but we don't want to work with this stuff. We want to work with what's called the tile palette. Now, you might have down here this button that says Open Tile Palette. And you can click on that, which will open this. If you don't have that, you can go to Window and then go to 2D and Tile Palette. So here we have our tile map, and what we need to do here is basically we're going to drag some files in to create our tile maps, or to have our maps that we can use to paint our tiles on our scene. Before that, though, we're going to open up this guy right here. This is our main level build 1 map, and we have to set some stuff up in here to make sure that it works properly with our tile. So our tile map. So if you click on the Open Sprite Editor, and you'll see here we have all of these are all the sprites on this sprite map. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to oh shoot, oops, I skipped a step. Excuse me, I skipped a step. We're going to go here to the sprite mode and change it from single to multiple, because if you look at our sprite map, which I'll open up again, there's a bunch of different sprites on this sheet. So we need to tell Unity that there are multiple sprites, so it will know that it's not just one tile or one sprite that it's going to be whenever it's pasted in. Pixels per unit, like I said before, this is going to be set to 16 because 16 bit images. And then we're going to set our filter mode to point, like we did before. And then we should be able to open up our, always save if it asks you to save. Then we should be able to open up our sprite editor. Yeah, there we go. And we're going to hit the slice button here in the top left. And what this is going to pop up is going to give us options to slice our sprite sheet into separate pieces that will then be used as tiles. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to change the type from automatic to grid by cell size. And now we get this red grid here. The next thing we're going to need to do is decide the pixel size, which, as I said before, was 16. So we're going to change our X and Y to 16. And now you'll see if I were to undo that, let's say. So as 64, they're much larger, and the tiles are encompassing a lot of different sprites. But if we go down to 16, this sprite sheet was made in 16 by 16 pixel squares. So now it's cut up in the correct square, like in the correct tiles for each of the sprites. So now we can click on the slice button, and then we can click on apply. And then once that's done, we close this out. And now we can, inside of our tile palette, and I'm just going to drag this, if it'll let me. Hello, tile palette. I would like to drag you. No? Okay. So now that we have that sprite sheet ready to go, if we just drag this into this little drag section here where it says to drag your tile, sprite, or texture sheets, it'll open up this window, and all we want to do is just make sure that we are saving this. We just need to select a folder for where Unity is going to save all these tiles. So I'll just select the one that it opened up inside of the Crystal World pack. And now you'll see inside of our Crystal World, we have a lot of little sprite files. So each of these, oops, I guess, there we go. Each of these is its own asset file inside of our project folder. This is Unity cutting up those tiles like I was had shown before with the slice tool. There we go. All right, I just wanted to drag this into our side view here so I can rearrange our panels a bit. So now we have this, and it's also cut up in our square, or in the tiles. So then we can use that to create our map. So this is our map area, and I'm just going to show you the way that these tools work. So up here we have a paintbrush, which works just like the actual like a paintbrush and anything else. What you'll do is you'll select one of the tiles that you want to paint, and then paint it right on your level, and you can hold and drag and paint whatever you want. You can select more than one tile at a time. So say I wanted these tiles here. If you click and drag till the box shows all the tiles that you want to paint, and then you can paint just those tiles, just like this. If I wanted to, the filled box, which will paint the same tile across multiple tiles in the editor, based off of which tiles you choose. So that's just the single black tile. Now, if I were to select all this, it will paint it procedurally to fill the space that you're looking to fill. Finally, there's the well, I guess there's two more things to talk about. There's the eyedropper tool, which will allow you to select a tile and paint it anywhere else, just like you would expect an eyedropper to work. And then there's the eraser tool, which will allow you to erase tiles. And then the fill tool, which will allow you to fill based off of, I believe it's, fill based off of a tile that you've chosen. For the most part, though, you're probably going to just be working with the paintbrush, and maybe some of the other tools as kind of shortcuts. But what you're going to want to do in this step is we're just going to start by kind of blocking out our level. I'm going to take this square here, and I'm just going to I'm just going to draw my level. Didn't mean to do that. I kind of just wanted it to be right above the background here. Draw basically kind of the outline of our level. If you hold shift also allows you to click and erase. So you can do that. So maybe we wanted to do something like this. And maybe we wanted to have like a thing here in the center. Maybe a platform here. A platform here. Maybe something like that. And something like that. So the first thing the reason that I did this way is, and I'm going to have to reset the recording in a second, but the reason that I set it this way is this is the kind of shadow of everything. This is where everything will look completely black. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through and start taking these painted portions and fit them into where where I want them to go in our level. So say I wanted to do something like that, and we're going to grab this floor, this ground piece. We're going to line this up. And then we're going to grab this stuff, this sprite here for the sides of the. And I knew I should have restarted the recording. Sorry, that got cut off. But basically, you're going to this is the painting of your. Grab these. I'll put that there. This is a painting of your scene. Just how you want it to look. And in this sprite pack, the reason that I use this because you have a couple of different options for things that you want to or that you can use. So if we wanted to have blue crystals, say on the ceiling, now we have blue crystals on the ceiling. And you can think of the way that painting works in this engine, or in at least tile mapping, very similar to like using a stamp tool in a painting program. The stamp tool will it completely replaces all the pixels within the stamp range. So if I did that there, all of a sudden all of the black pixels that were there are gone. Anyway, I got to I have a finished version of this setup, so I'm gonna skip right over to that to get to the next part of our tutorial. Okay, so here's where I what I put together before I did this recording. And this is me messing around with the different paint tools. I'm just gonna go in and delete these oops, erase. Oh, I'm on the wrong tile. There we go. Erase those. I want to make sure that you've clicked onto the object you actually want to edit. So next thing I'm going to do is we're going to fill this out with a bit more detail. And we're going to do that using stuff still in this sprite or in this tile palette here. So we have these different like grasses and trees and bushes and things, and then also these platforms. So we're going to add these in. So the first thing that you want to do is if you look at the inspector for our tile map, I'm going to check our Z position. I set this to 6 because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete these two so I don't give anything away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my grid and create a new tile map. And then this I'm going to call tree, or I'm going to call platforms. And this, I want my platforms to be in front of my my ground. So if that was 6, then this platforms will be 5. And now if we go back to our tile palette, we can continue to paint. I'm going to take these platforms here. I'm going to take this one, and we're going to paint this. Let's put that there. Let's put that there. Put that there. That's not exactly where I want that to go. Put that there. And then we'll grab the other platform. And what we've done now is we've layered these 2 different layers of tile maps on top of each other. So now their Z is correct, so that they won't be overlapping each other incorrectly. And then also they will they'll look correct, but they'll also still give you that depth if you're looking for that. So I added some platforms. So now let's do another one, and this one we're going to add another tile map, and this one we're going to call trees, and this one we're going to go to our inspector, and we're going to make this. I'm going to make this. Let's go with 7. So the trees. If I wanted to add some trees in, so I set this at 7 so that if I were to take one of these trees, right, click and drag to grab all of the, oops, I need to have my paintbrush selected, and then select a tree. All right, the whole tree. There we go. And if I want to put this tree in, so I've set this at 7, and the reason that I did that is to show this. So if I wanted to place this tree here, and click off of this, see how it's behind the ground. So that's how those layers work. If I set this from 7 to 4, Now it's ahead. Now it's in front of it. And if I wanted to, what's the tool? Give me this tree. If I wanted to move this around, so now it's placed in front of it, so you'll see the roots. So you can kind of go back and forth and like layering in the ways that you want your layers to look. But say we want this in front of all of this stuff. We'll take this tree right here and we'll put it right there. Maybe we'll put another one right here. You do whatever you want to do with this. And then I want to take this grass. I'm missing some of the grass. It's kind of hard to see sometimes if you scroll into your pixel, your sprite sheet here. You can see kind of when some pixels are in the next grid, and the reason that that's important is you don't want things to get cut off, but also you want to know that that's where that line is, so that you can kind of change the way collision works when you get to that point. So if I take this and I just paint this right there, and right here, and now I have some grass clumps. We can do this from an angle as well. It's 3 pixels. So if we wanted this to say, I don't know if I use this anywhere. Maybe we'll use this one. Yeah, this one fits more. And then we can slap this on the slopes here to get out there, to give kind of feeling of some of these slopes being covered with grass and stuff. All this to say that this is kind of the basics of level design for doing a 2D side scroller style level. Now, this also works the same way if I were to say I were to get rid of everything here, and I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to hide it for right now. If I were to do this again, so let's make another background. And then we're going to create another empty, and this is going to be floor. And then from here, if I go into our inspector, and I don't know if there's a good one in, because this is for a side scrolling thing, but say I wanted to instead make this a top down thing. If I were to say say this was our floor, right? Well, I could, using a new tile map here, which we want to make sure is positioned properly and all of that. So we're going to set this tile map's position to 5, the backgrounds. Position to, let's go to 12. Okay. So now I have this grid, and if I wanted to make this say a top down like floor, these tiles aren't the best for it, but say this was, there you go. Say this is my floor tile. Well, now I can paint this, sir. Oh, oops. I meant to drag this into the background. There we go. Hold on. -12. That's a hell of a... There we go. So say this was the floor I wanted to make. Duplicate this a couple of times. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. There's our background, our underground of our floor. And if I wanted to paint tiles on it, I'll grab the tiles that I want to paint and paint it however I want. And now this can, using our using the like collision and game mechanics, now I've all of a sudden been able to create a top-down 2D look. There are better templates for this than the one that I'm using, and also asset packs. But the same mechanics apply whether you're doing a side scroller or top-down. If you're doing if you're doing uh, what's the word, the semi 3D look, for like an RTS or a Diablo type game. There are tools to do that as well. I won't get into those right now, but if you're interested, um, either take a look around the Unity um, editor itself, or you can message me and I will happily one-on-one walk you through all that stuff. But basically, this will end up. Um, did I rebuild everything? I did. This will kind of cover what we're doing for level design in Unity. What I encourage everybody to do now is if you weren't following along, I would. I'm just going to delete the stuff that I didn't actually use. Download this Crystal World asset pack off the Unity store, and mess around with it and see what you can come up with. And like I said before, so with the background, for instance, we only have these two tiles to our background. But if I wanted to, and I wanted to say we're going to duplicate these, and then we're just going to move them further away, and now we have a wider space. And if we wanted to add more, say, make things look a little bit higher or lower than they are, if I grab these two squares, we can drag these down, and now they look lower. We can drag the full background image up a little bit to make the sky look a little bit higher. It's just kind of placing things and drawing things however you want. And that's the basics for 2D stuff in Unity. Next week, I will be showing you 3D stuff in Unreal Engine. If you have any questions, if you have any issues with installing Unity or opening it and running it, please let me know. If you don't have access to Unity or to a computer that can run Unity, you can reach out to me. I'll give you the full directions and everything, but there is a lab at the Fall River campus and room K104 that is our dedicated lab for all of the computer science or CIS department. So you can go in there and it will have Unity, Unreal Engine, the Adobe Suite, everything you might need. You can use in those computers. I don't know the schedule, and I don't know if you need to reserve anything with the library or anything like that, but you can use those computers when they're available to do whatever you need to do for Unity or Unreal. Yeah, that's everything. I don't think we have anything else kind of scheduled for this week as far as assignments are concerned. Originally, I think I had the second project. Is that for this class? No, that's for my other class. Oops. For 142, I think I had a game proposal project that was originally assigned. That is, I'll handle it next week, but that is not something that is necessary for grading. So you don't have to worry about that. That's not an actual project. I just wanted to get kind of it in people's minds that the final project for this class is kind of going to be like a ground up, like this is my level design. And I want you guys to be thinking about that. And the game proposals, which we'll do next week, are kind of to work, kind of give you a feeling of what it's like to do an actual game pitch, where you have an idea and you want to flesh it out, write it down on paper, and be able to tell people that's what you want to do with it. But yeah, Unity. Yep, that's what we had. We'll get that started next week, along with the project 2. So see you guys then. Thanks everybody. Have a good one.